Jharkhand.
It's a series, web series.
Yes, heard of it. Jamtara. And
So there is a web series on that
web
place.
series on Jamtara, right?
Jamtara.
Absolutely said. And this place is notorious for making most of the internet crimes. In fact, most of the crimes are of that of the fraudulence, when they will ask for your certain information pertaining to the banks. And more importantly, they have now switched over to some other modalities. Like now they are uh, asking you to uh, pay a certain amount of money if you want to redeem the coupon in your own account. So this uh, like GPay or PhonePe or whatever, maybe Paytm. So these are the new dimensions of the crime that is very much in vogue these days. So therefore, we have to be very particular that the crime is very much uh, being committed as far as the cyber space is concerned. And in that regard, we are here to discuss certain legal provisions. What are the ways out? Though these measures are of prohibitory in nature, and it cannot help much. Still, these ITA, that is called Information Technology Act 2000, it is just an attempt to equip the users of the net so that legal actions could be taken against the perpetrators of the crime. So we are very concerned about some of the legal provisions, and this discussion is very informative. We are hardly here to analyze anything in detail. What are the offenses and what are the penalties? That is to be understood. Depending upon the nature of the offenses, there is a provision for penalties in terms of uh, the jail or the monetary provisions, maybe the fine. So this is all about some details that you can take a note of. This ITA, which is more popularly, this term is more popularly known as ITA, and it stands for not the income tax or whatever. It is Information Technology. Mind the words, Information Technology Act 2000. Though it was, it underwent a major amendment in 2008. And what we discuss today is the provisions of 2008 only. Nevertheless, this act was enforced on 17th October 2000, and it is referred to as Information Technology Act 2000. The original act contained 94 sections, which is divided into 13 chapters and 4 schedules. Just remember these important data regarding this particular act. And this is the guiding line as far as the regulation of the practices are concerned. So it is the primary law in India dealing with the cyber crimes and e-commerce. And it literally has to deal with the crimes that are committed in the cyber world and the fraudulence that are taking place in e-commerce. When you place orders on the net and you get the merchandise delivered at your doorstep. So the various crimes that are a part and parcel of the cyber world is attempted to be regularized through this particular advertisement. Now there are certain important sections that you should be very particular about. There are a number of sections that find a special mention, and we have just developed a brief of these acts when we have discussed what are the major offenses and what are the corresponding penalties. And please do remember the sections. We start with section 65. Please, please do remember the sections, the offense, in short description, what this offense is all about. Now that you are aware of most of the offenses, uh, what are these offenses and what are the penalties? Just remember this. In this discussion, we only focus on these different sections which relates to imposing pecuniary measures as far as the cyber crime is concerned. So this section 65 deals with tampering with a computer source document. Write this term. Offense is tampering with the computer source document. Now, if you tamper with the computer source document, which you otherwise are not supposed to, for instance, if a person knowingly or intentionally conceals, destroys, or alters any computer source code used for a computer network, computer system, or computer network, when the computer's source code is required to be kept or maintained by law. You see, every computer system has a security code, and it is instrumental in tracking the source of the message. If you tamper with the code, you are committing a crime, because investigation is made on the basis one can figure out from what computer network the message has been generated. So if you tamper with the code, it will be very difficult to figure this out. So you are not supposed to tamper the security code of the computer source as per law. So if you do so, because then it will be very difficult to have an access to the identity of the source from which the message was implanted in the website, in the World Web. So that will be very difficult for you, or any investigating agency rather. So therefore, the penalty for this is an imprisonment up to 3 years, and depending upon the nature of the crime, a fine up to rupees 2 lakhs. So this is it. So 3 years imprisonment, and depending upon the graveness or the gravity of the crime, fine up to rupees 2 lakh could be imposed. So mind the offense and the penalty: tampering with the computer source. Now after 65, we discuss the next one, and that is section 66, hacking with computer system. The offense is hacking. And if possible, just note down the major points, because you will not be able to find this piece of information in many of the books, or even, so this is a compiled one and summarized likewise. So section 66 deals with hacking with computer system. Hacking with computer system. And we already have discussed what is meant by hacking. When an unauthorized access to somebody's network is made. So what is hacking? Just to rewind, if a person with the intent to cause or knowledge that he is likely to cause wrongful loss or damage to the public or any person destroys or deletes or alters any information residing in the computer resources, or diminishes its value or utility, or affects these, you see, the description is very technical in nature from the point of view of law. So that is a legal interpretation. The description that you find over here is a legal interpretation of this hacking. So computer resources or diminishes its value or utility, affects it injuriously by the. So if a computer system is being hacked, now that is a very serious offense. And as we have discussed, hacking is something when somebody exercises a control over a computer network, and which is very much unauthorized, therefore illegal. And the penalty in this case is imprisonment up to 3 years and or fine up to rupees 5 lakhs. So please do remember 3 years of imprisonment and a fine up to rupees 5 lakhs for hacking. Now section 66A. Section 66A offenses: publishing offensive, false or threatening information. Publishing offensive, false or threatening information. Many times this is purposely being made just to and remember we discussed that they circulate incorrect stories on the net just to misguide people at times. So here the publication is of offensive, false or threatening in nature. So any person who sends by any means of a computer resource any information that is grossly offensive or has a menacing character, or any information which he knows to be false but sends it for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction or insult. Now that is purposely being made. It is not that the person was not aware of it. The person was very much aware of the fact that it was a misdeed that the person is going to commit with certain malified intention, of course. So such publications are obviously not legal, and the provision for the imprisonment in this case is up to 3 years, and the fine will be decided as per the court, depending upon the gravity, because there is no mention of the quantum of fine expressed in that section. So 66A, please do remember that it deals with the publishing offensive, false or threatening information. Then section 66B. Section 66B, just do remember the sections. The sections, offense, penalty. Nothing more is to be remembered over here. And section 66B, the offense is publishing child porn or predating children online. Remember the other day we were discussing about pedophiles, and these were the people who used to trap children for a sexual favor. And this is a very serious crime, because unsuspecting mind could easily fell to the trap of these criminals. So the description part is: if a person captures, publishes or transmits images of a child in a sexually explicit act or conduct. Remember, these pictures were used to blackmail the children even. If a person induces a child into a sexual act, a child is in this for this act, the age to be considered for qualifying somebody as children is 18 years. So under 18, the individual is considered to be a child. Because if you discuss the labor laws, the age of child is different as compared to this age. So 18 years or less is the child is the age of the child, and if any crime is perpetrated which has got sexual connotations, obviously it will be considered illegal, because uh, as per the design, this crime is being perpetrated. And even in this case, the consent of the child will not matter. Any sexual gratification by any allurement even will be a crime, because the children could be easily lured away. So it hardly matters whether the child has given the consent for a sexual favor. This is considered to be an offense, because a person could decide for any sexual intimacy only if the person has attained 18 years of age. So mind the age limit, and pornography relating to children is a offense, and for this the penalty is an imprisonment up to 5 years. Just remember that this quantum of penalties: imprisonment up to 5 years, or and with fine up to 10 lakh rupees. So rupees 10 lakh will be the fine on first conviction, and if the same crime is repeated by the person, imprisonment up to 7 years, or and with a fine up to 10 lakh. So second conviction, only the duration of imprisonment will change. So from 5 to 7 years, repeated offense. But the pecuniary punishment, that is financial punishment, will remain the same, 10 lakh. So yes, so 5 years of imprisonment and rupees 10 lakh, a fine up to 10 lakh. It may be less depending upon the situation and circumstances. So remember, child pornography in electronic media is a criminal offense, and therefore there is a quantum of punishment that has also been decided in ITA. Now the next one, section 66C. Section 66C. Yes. The offense is using password of another person. The offense is using password of another person. You're not supposed to use the password of any other person, because it will be an apt case for impersonification, and legal actions could be taken against the person. And this is typically done in case of to perpetrate a fraud. And description accordingly goes like this: a person fraudulently uses the password, digital signature, or other unique identification of another person. So you are representing. You are enacting somebody else's identity, and which is a crime. And if a cyber medium is concerned, of course, there is a penalty, and the penalty is that of imprisonment up to rupees 3 years. 3 years of imprisonment, and or with a fine up to rupees 1 lakh. So 1 lakh is fine, and imprisonment up to 3 years. You see, that is this is something that we take it very casually. We pass on the password to somebody else. Now, if the person could misuse the password for his or her own personal gratification, definitely that will be, then only the matter would come on the surface, isn't it? If a father has given the password to his son, so that the son could withdraw money from ATM, It is not a crime because it is as per the consent. It is as per the awareness of the two parties. But if somebody has taken the password and it is grossly misusing it the same, then it is obviously an offense. If you have uh, got the password by any other mean and that is not in a good faith, you are using it for your own personal gratification, that will be an offense for sure. And obviously the punishment is accordingly that of 3 years of imprisonment and up to rupee 1 lakh as fine. 66D, cheating using computer resources. If you cheat if a fraudulence is committed by the use of internet, if a person cheats somebody using a computer resource or communication, like all these Jamtara people will be trapped in this. But you see, they are aware that this sort of crime is going at Jamtara. In fact, the entire village, there is a typical locality in which this activity is being carried out in every household. Still, the police is traceless. They just couldn't find how to trap them. And as per a conversation that was going on, they said that in the lockdown, when earning has become so difficult, they are finding easy money. And on an average, one person is trapped. Uh, and they are very concerned about earning 5,000 a day. So if they earn 5,000, they are satisfied. So throughout the day, if they go on uh, alluring people, they end up on an average rupees 5,000 a day. So they cheat people likewise. Now that more and more people have started being aware of, they are trying to figure out different ways, like the UPI that we said. So here's a cheating through computer resources, and in this case, the imprisonment of up to 3 years and fine up to rupees 1 lakh. 66D. Just remember the crime and a brief description of the crime and the penalty, the punishment that is there. So 66D. Let's say 66E, publishing private images of others. Publishing private images of others. Yeah, we discussed that we have become a selfie generation. More and more people are snapping their photographs and uploading on the social network. So this crime is very rampant. And what the nature of the crime is, if a person captures, transmits, or publishes images of others, images of persons' private parts without his or her consent or knowledge. So this has got sexual overtones, obviously. So if you use somebody else private pictures, you are entitled for a penalty, and the penalty is imprisonment up to 3 years and or a fine up to rupees 2 lakhs. So publishing private images is something which is illegal as per section 66E. The next is section 66F, acts of cyber terrorism. Remember, cyber terrorism, we use the word at two different levels. For the purpose of the legal point of view, cyber terrorism if a person denies access to an authorized personnel to a computer resource, accesses a protected system, or introduces uh, or contaminants into a system with the intention of threatening the unity, integrity, or sovereignty of the country, then he or she commits a cyber terrorism. So cyber terrorism, you see, in fact, we already have discussed this in the earlier classes. When you try to make the network dysfunctional by electronic bombing, when they could not provide the function, or they cannot get the function that they are obliged to get, and moreover, if it is used to perpetrate a crime, cyber terrorism, and here obviously the punishment is very grave, imprisonment up to life, because this is a threat to the sovereignty of the country. It is a threat to the unity, integrity, sovereignty, or security of the country, because the message has been circulated through using the net. Therefore, there is a provision for a very uh, substantial penalty, that is the imprisonment to life. So that was section 66F. Another one. Okay, we have got two more, then we will wind it up. 67B is publishing child porn or predating children online. Predating children, remember, we discussed that. If a person captures, publishes, or transmits images of a child in sexually explicit act or conduct, if the child induces, in fact, that was discussed, section B. In fact, we have discussed that now. Forget it. It has been already discussed. The next is section 70, securing access to or attempting to secure access to protected system. If you, by hook or crook, get the access to a system which is lawfully protected, you are not supposed to. Securing access or attempting to secure access to a protected system, the government may, by notification in the official gazette, declare that any computer or computer system or computer network is to be protected system. If a person who secures access to or attempts to secure access to a protected system, then he is committing an offense, because that system was supposed to be protected. That system was not supposed to be made to public. So in this circumstance, offense has been committed, and the penalty for such an offense is imprisonment up to 10 years or and with fine. The nature of the fine, of course, will depend, decided by the court. 71, section 71, that is of misrepresentation. If anyone makes any misrepresentation to or suppresses any material fact from the controller or the certifying authority for obtaining any license or digital signature certificate. So that is a case of misrepresentation, personification of somebody else. Penalty is that of imprisonment of 2 years or the fine up to rupees 1 lakh. Right. This section 71, that was misrepresentation. So if you personify somebody else to get a certificate, digital certificate, it is an offense, and it will earn you the penalty in terms of imprisonment or fine. So that is for the major provisions that we are supposed to have a quick glance at. So do remember these different sections, the crimes and the penalty with respective to each of them. And that is it. So with this, we come to an end of our discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.